Baseball is back, and at Team Toyota, savings and selection are back too. With tons of new Toyota SUVs, trucks, and hybrids to choose from, and with our lineup of over 200 certified used Toyotas, you can find the right fit for you and your budget. Plus, our service and collision centers are here to get you back in the game in no time. Visit one of our 3 locations in Princeton, Langhorne, or Glen Mills, or online at teamtoyota.net. Well, Sean Kane, I don't know what else there is to say. We sat down here on the last podcast talking about Zack Wheeler's brilliance, and he just ended Sunday as we sit down here right after the game on Sunday, and I am speechless. We talked about where Zack Wheeler ranks all time in Phillies pitching history, and now we sit here again on Sunday afternoon, and we just saw one of the best pitching performances that we've seen in a while. And Michael Barkan on postgame said, it's one of those games and one of those performances that we'll remember for a very long time. Yeah. And I can't agree more. We've run out of things to say about Zack Wheeler.
Yeah, no, it was a big day for Zack. The pregame, he gets inducted into our quarter century team.
Yep, that's right.
Huge honor for him. And then goes out and faces one above the minimum.
It's crazy. Dude.
A one-hit complete game is crazy. Like, it's just crazy in this day and age. Complete game, period. 5th of his career, 4th as a Philly. But the whole one hit, no walks, one bad pitch that he left up a little bit to Austin Hayes. Was the only blemish from really, he had perfect game stuff. Like usually we don't start thinking about that to the 6th inning, but once he got through like 3 or 4, he got through 4 facing 12, struck out De La Cruz to end the 4th. I said to a couple guys here, like, this is perfect game. Like, I'm not predicting it, but like this has the look of a perfect game, which of course it almost did, with the exception of one hitter. He's just unbelievable. Like, he's unbelievable what he does. He goes out, comes back out for the 9th. That was great. I'm glad Rob Thompson, he said, I came down the steps after the 8th. Nobody was there to say, greet me. So I figured, all right, I'm going back in, and kept my distance, which was awesome, which was great. Unbelievable. I mean, he had that one bad start against the Braves in late May. Then he went on paternity leave, had like 11-day layoff. And since then has been essentially unhittable. 0.6 something ERA in his last 6 starts.
Yes.
Dating back to the beginning
June 1st,
of June.
right? Yeah.
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. What he's done, what he did on Sunday was one of the best pitching performances I've seen by a Philly.
Yeah. It's perfectly summed up. We just saw the Jason Stark tweet. We were talking about it here. He's games in modern era in which a Phillies pitcher has thrown a complete game, struck out 12 or more, walked nobody, which we'll get to, allowed 1 base runner or 0. That is Zack Wheeler. He's the only Phillies pitcher to ever have those numbers. And I think the big thing is, too, well, one, we got the graphic ready for sure. There was definitely talks. I was talking to my buddy, our good buddy Clayton Dyer, who's filling in for me today, and he said that he was getting nervous. Started getting all his outs recorded and stuff to make a highlight and all that. And it's crazy, man. And the 0 walks is so impressive. So dating back to June 1st, he has 54 strikeouts and only 7 walks.
It's crazy.
That is an insane strikeout to walk ratio.
Yeah.
And he had none today. And I feel like we talked about this on the pod before of how that's, to me, one of the most impressive feats that he can do. I feel like there's a strong stretch where he'll go multiple outings with no walks. Yeah. And when he has that fastball command like he had on Sunday, man, it's good. And as we sit down here, it just got announced that he will make his 3rd All-Star appearance.
Yes.
As he should. Yeah. And I think Sunday solidified him being your National League starting pitcher. Yes.
Yeah. Like, obviously, Skeens is great.
Yes.
Skeens started last year. Skeens has plenty of opportunities to start. Hopefully, Zack Wheeler will, too, after this year. But no, I think Zack Wheeler should be the starting pitcher in that. I think he's the best pitcher in the National League. So 100%. I think he should start that game. How cool would it be in his hometown, right outside of Atlanta, to start that game? That would be something. He was asked about that, and obviously, he's not the most verbose when it comes to talking about himself. But he said, it would be a great honor to be able to start that game. So hopefully he does. Hopefully, Dave Roberts decides to give the ball to Zack. He's on schedule to start Saturday in San Francisco.
Yep.
So it's not like he's starting Sunday. Conceivably, that would line up to be able to throw an inning or 2 on Tuesday, that Tuesday of All-Star Week.
Yep.
So it should wind up schedule-wise. So I hope he does start. Obviously, well deserved. Nod for him. We've talked about it, I think the best pitcher in the National League pretty much since he's been here.
Yes.
And hopefully he's recognized for the chance to start the All-Star game and a chance to finally win a Cy Young Award that's overdue as well.
And speaking of that, the last time that Zack threw a complete game was 4 years ago in 2021 when he should have won the Cy Young Award there.
Yep.
Should have won it last year as well. I mean, if he continues to stretch, we can get that graphic ready. I would hope so.
Yeah.
Of him winning his first Cy Young. He deserves it, man.
Yeah.
There's not much else to say. And we sat here and talked about it in the last pod where he ranks all time. You said that he's the best Phillies pitcher since Steve Carlton.
Yes,
100.
In my opinion, like, I have all due respect to Curt Schilling and what he did in the 90s.
And Cole, obviously.
Roy and Cliff are all timers, but Roy was here for a couple of years. He had some really good years, but Zach's in year 6 of pitching at this Cy Young level. I think he's the best Phillies starting pitcher since Steve Carlton, which is some high praise, obviously.
And it solidified that on a beautiful Sunday afternoon here.
Yeah. Also,
shout out to the Phillies fans. The energy on a Sunday afternoon, 4th of July weekend, they brought it. Chanting his name in the 9th inning as he goes out there. It wasn't "Let's go Phillies," it was "Let's go Wheeler."
Yeah.
The atmosphere was crazy with 42,000 plus.
Yeah.
And Ben Davis is fired up.
Ben's excited.
Ben Davis just came over and he's all very fired up, and as he should be. What a series for the Phillies. Obviously, Friday, kind of a crazy little game. Jesus Luzardo struggles. We'll get to that in a second.
Yep.
But to come away with another series win, they take 2 or 3 from a decent Reds team who is going to be fighting for that wild card spot in the National League. But the Phillies have now won 6 of 9. They hold a 2-game lead over the Mets in the National League East. Things are looking up as we get past the 4th of July weekend and kind of move on here. So
They're playing better ball. They've, since that disastrous stretch on the road that ended with it getting swept by the Pirates, I believe now they've won 7 of their last 8 series. With the 7 of their last 8, with the only exception being that series in Houston. It was the only series they haven't won since then. They're playing better ball. They're playing consistent. Nice series win, as you said. Friday was unfortunate with Luzardo getting them in an early hole, but then Saturday, Ranger doing his thing, and probably more importantly, since Ranger's on that pitch count that we didn't know about until after the fact, that the bullpen came in and gave him 4 solid innings on Saturday. So that was huge. Then, of course, Zach gives the bullpen a break on Sunday. So they'll be nice and rested for San Francisco.
A good West Coast trip. Yeah. Getting ready for that this weekend before the All-Star break. I want to talk about real quick 2 guys that we've talked about for a little bit here of complimentary guys, and these guys need to step up. Mm-hmm. Bryson Stott stepped up on Sunday. Alec Bohm stepped up on Saturday with 2 big hits. Stott's homer in the 8th inning on Sunday and Bohm's home run in the 8th inning on Saturday.
Yep.
Jordan Romano ends up getting the win.
Homer.
Yeah. So those guys, man, that's what this team needs, especially, which we'll get to here in a second, Bryce coming back and struggling the way he has.
Right.
But to have Bohm and Stott, kind of the daycare guys, finally have 2 gigantic swings is huge to see, I think.
No doubt. Yeah. And Bohm's been pretty consistently good after that awful April. That was a huge home run that he hit on Saturday. Stott's the one that's been more concerning. He's just really struggled to kind of find his footing at the plate for a pretty extended stretch here. And he's essentially a platoon player now. When they face lefties, which they did the first 2 games of the Cincinnati series, Sosa's playing and Sosa's producing. He hit a home run on Saturday too. Stott has been struggling, and to come up, and if anybody ever needed a hit like that on Sunday, 1-1 game, Wheeler's coming back out. We really can't let Wheeler pitch like this and not get him a win, have him come away with a no decision, or worse yet, a loss. To have that step up, deliver, JT gets on base, little bloop single in front of him, and then boom, drilled that ball to right, which was great. And, he talked after the game. Kyle Schwarber was great talking after the game on Stott, just like he needs to realize he's still an important part of this team, even when he's not hitting, what he does defensively for us, and when he's not playing, just his morale on the bench. Like, he's an important player. You think he realizes that too, but it's got to be frustrating. Like, anybody that's struggling to that extent for that long has got to be beside themselves. So it's had to be in a long couple of months for him. But a huge hit on Sunday. Him and Bohm both, the young guys coming through with some big 8th inning home runs.
Yeah, and he's only batting .238 in the season. Talking about Stott, he has a .310 OBP. It's not been the season that we expected from Bryson Stott, especially after struggling last year. But it comes out that he's dealing with that elbow injury all of last season. And now to have him have that big of a hit, I think it's huge. And hopefully that can kind of carry as we go to the All-Star break here. And then same with Bohm. I mean, Bohm, like you said, he's been more consistent, but to have him have it come up with a huge hit like that is also huge for this Phillies team.
For sure. Yeah, no, the young guys contributing, lengthening that lineup a little bit. But you mentioned, Turner had a great homestand. Schwarber had a good homestand. Harper's back. He returned for the homestand, but you can just tell, like, he does not have his timing at all.
Yep.
And it just looks bad right now. And, that's the argument to be made for a rehab assignment. Like, I get it. Guys don't want to do it. The Phillies aren't going to tell Bryce to do it. Bryce doesn't want to do it. I understand all that, but you can see right now, at least you could on this homestand, the argument for going out, getting some at-bats under your belt after you miss a month, as opposed to just coming back and trying to find your rhythm on the fly, because it hurts. He's in the middle of the lineup, and he's just really struggling, not just to hit consistently, but just to get the bat on the ball. Like, he's striking out at an alarming rate.
We sit here, in the 5 games since he's been back, he is 3 for 17. The last 2 games on Saturday and Sunday against the Reds here, he is 0 for 7 with 6 strikeouts.
Yeah.
That strikeout rate is just not what we see from Bryce. And I think you're right. I think, and again, we're not worried about it. Let's just clear that here. Like, he's going to find it again. It just, I think you're right. I think a rehab start like this, I know he probably doesn't want to go down to AAA, and he definitely does not want to do that. But it could benefit him just to see not this kind of top level starting pitching. Just get hot down there. But I think he'll heat up, but it is alarming to see 6 strikeouts and 7 at-bats on Saturday and Sunday. And you and I were just talking before the show started that even that one, I couldn't remember, it was in the 6th or 7th. The Phillies were 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They left 10 men on base, and he came up in a big spot, I think, with the bases loaded, and he completely whiffed on a slider, completely away from him. And it's funny, we haven't seen the frustration yet. I think he knows that he's going to find it again. We haven't seen the bad spikes or anything like that. But it is a little concerning, but I'm not long-term concerned, especially just get him to the All-Star break, like we've been saying for a month now. Get him to the All-Star break, and I think he'll be okay. But it would be nice to have Bryce kind of bounce back here.
It would. Yeah, it would. We'll see what he does out on the road now. Hopefully, obviously, he has a couple games under his belt, 5 games under his belt now. But yeah, he just did not help an offense that, I mean, they were 3 for 28 with runners in scoring position in the series. 0 for 10 Sunday, 3 for 28 for the series, and they still take 2 out of 3, which is a testament to, as we've been saying all year, the starting pitching.
Yes.
Ranger and Wheeler were both unbelievable. That's why they won 2 out of 3. With Luzardo's struggles, of course, on Friday, got him off to a bad start, but nice to win the series. But yeah, Bryce, figure it out, get back on track a little bit coming out of the break, and hopefully for a good final 2.5 months of the season, we shall see. But yeah, it was just a tough homestand for him, and you can just see how frustrated he is, not being able to kind of go up there with the type of confidence that he's used to having.
And as we sit down here, we're getting a little past closer to the 6 o'clock hour on Sunday afternoon. Kyle Schwarber also named an All-Star for the Phillies. So they only have 2. Ranger Suarez did not make it. Christopher Sanchez did not make it.
It's crazy. Turner had a case, I thought.
100%. A year after a record tying 7 guys went to the All-Star game last season. They only have 2 this season with Kyle Schwarber and Zack Wheeler. Schwarber obviously deserving as well, the season that he's having, crushing the lead or the team lead in home runs. So shout out to Kyle. What an accomplishment for him too. But I am very, very surprised that we don't see Ranger Suarez, Christopher Sanchez, and even Trey Turner heading to Atlanta.
No doubt. Yeah, Sanchez probably surprises me the most. I mean, I get it because he's like an under-the-radar guy, but he's been great all year. 2.68 ERA going into Monday's start in San Francisco. Just steady. Puts his team in a position to win every time he takes the ball. To me, he was an all-star last year. He's absolutely one of the best pitchers in the National League. So that's surprising. Ranger obviously has been great. I can kind of see the argument that he missed the first 5 weeks of the season. He's only made 12 starts, but it's only 12. It's not like he's made 7 or 8 starts. He's made 12 starts, and he's been outstanding. So he had a case. Turner had a case. Obviously, shortstop's a tough position in the National League right now. But yeah, I thought Turner was more than deserving. So hopefully a couple of those guys, whether it be Sanchez, Turner, or Ranger, some combination of them maybe get in if some other guys have to back out, whether it be for injury or just not playing. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Schwarber 100% like deserving. 27 dingers, 3rd most in the National League as we sit here on Sunday. OPS is right around top 5. RBIs, he's like 5th or 6th, depending on Sunday's game. So all year he's been their biggest power bat, most consistent power bat, really only consistent power bat. He's been great, and he's got, I guess, an outside chance now, but he hit his 27th home run on Saturday. The team record, Phillies record for most home runs before the All-Star break in any season is 31 by Schmidt in 79. Schwarber's actually second. I think in 22, he hit 29 home runs before the break. Right. So he'll need a big road trip to get up close to Schmitty there, but that gives you an idea of the type of power he's had this season prior to the All-Star break.
And 63 RBIs in the season too. I mean, if you continue that trend, you're looking at about 115, 120 RBIs he's on track for.
Hitting around 250. It's not like he's continued to hit in that same, he's not down in the 200s or below 200 like he was a couple of years ago.
Especially against lefties too. And that's been a big talking point. That's been a big talking point all season, all off season was he had to bounce back against left, and he's
13
hitting.
homers against lefties.
Yeah,
this year.
it's crazy, man. And that was kind of his kryptonite, if you want to say it, over the last few seasons. But what an accomplishment for Kyle. I'm excited to see him. Hopefully, I mean, do you think we could see him in the home run derby?
I would think so. I would think a guy like that.
There's only 3 confirmed right now.
Right.
It's Acuna, Cal Raleigh, and James Wood.
Yeah. Bohm did it last year. Obviously, that's that bracket style thing they do now. No, I think he should. I don't think Kyle would have a problem. I don't think he has to worry about his swing getting messed up by trying to hit home runs. So yeah, no, I think I'd expect to see him. I think he would have a pretty good shot to win it. But yeah, good to see him. You know, obviously he's not going to start with Shohei as the DH, but yeah, well-deserved nod for Kyle. Hopefully a couple more of his teammates besides Zack Wheeler get to go to Atlanta too, because, you know, first place team, I think they deserve more than 2 All-Stars. I was kind of surprised they didn't get more than 2.
Same. And obviously with the voting format and all that, it's a lot of Dodgers in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
I get it, whatever. But yeah, it's a first place team. This team is 6 of 9.
Yeah.
They're sitting atop of the NL East. I think this team deserves at least more than 2 All-Stars down in Atlanta. And dude, speaking of Sanchez real quick, that Wednesday night game in the second game of the doubleheader, God, he was just so efficient. Dude, I looked up at one point. I think he had like 64 pitches through 6, and I was like, send him back out there for the 9th, Rob. And he didn't make it out for the 8th, but he was just dominant against that the Padres lineup there. And I am a little disappointed that he did not make it, but hey, we move on. Yes. We move on. Speaking of pitching and speaking of moving on, kind of the big news on Friday morning. Mick Abel sent down, option down. They bring back Seth Johnson, who was actually already up for the
doubleheader on Wednesday.
Exactly, for the extra arm on Wednesday. But Mick, obviously, he struggled a little bit, but that now includes, or it throws in, Taijuan Walker getting thrown back in the starting rotation. And it is interesting, the comments that we've heard from Taijuan over the last few weeks when he kind of made that adjustment to the bullpen. He said he just can't really find a rhythm. You could see he was kind of a bit frustrated. Obviously, it's a completely different thing when you go from, you know, you have your routine between 5 days of rest, and then now you get thrown in the bullpen. You can't really ramp up the way you do, and you don't know when to long toss. You don't know when to throw a bullpen.
Right.
I get it, but now Taijuan is now back in the starting rotation. What are your expectations for Walker as we head into the All-Star break here?
Yeah, it's obviously tough, like going back and forth, and he's talked about that. Rob Thompson talked about it on Saturday. I feel bad that we've asked him to do this, bounce back and forth. That's something we wanted to avoid. But just circumstances, whether it be the Nola injury, obviously Abel struggling to the point he struggled where they just didn't feel confident giving him another start. So it's tough. I get it. I think they want to try to get 4 innings out of him on Tuesday if they can in San Francisco, because he's not stretched all the way out, and then lean on the bullpen the rest of the way there. So hopefully Sanchez gives them some length on Monday, bullpen and Walker on Tuesday, and then Luzardo, which is starting to be a bit of a problem too on Wednesday, and then they got the off day Thursday. But no, I think this is, I would think, I would think this is just a 1-start thing for Taijuan. Hit the break, reevaluate, whether that's Andrew Painter. Nola's still a ways away. It sounds like he's not going to be able to come right back out of the break. I think he'll probably be some point early August, hopefully, if all goes well with him.
And talk about rehab starts. I'm assuming we'll see Aaron Nola in Lehigh Valley at some point.
No doubt. Yeah, he's going to Clearwater tonight. He's not going to San Francisco and San Diego. He's going to Clearwater. He's got a house down there. He's going to work out at the facility all next week and the All-Star break. Throw some more. He threw a bullpen Sunday in Philly. Going to throw a couple more bullpens as the plan, then start some live BP. And then I think if all goes well, then he rejoins the team when they reconvene here in Philly out of the break. Then maybe he goes out for a rehab start or 2 or 3. Who knows? Probably, hopefully just 2, but we'll see. And then maybe he's ready to go August, first week of August, second week of August.
Yeah.
But so anyhow, they got to figure out the hole in rotation out of the break. They can obviously realign their starters however they want coming out of the break. Everybody's gonna have some extra rest, but they're gonna need a 5th guy. I believe like July 22nd is the day. So could that be Andrew Painter Day? Like it's July-ish, and it's July now. That's what they said, July-ish. Could Painter be the guy? Obviously, his numbers in Lehigh Valley haven't been overwhelming. The velocity's there. I was up there on I guess it was Thursday. Pardon me. Thursday night, saw him start against Scranton Wilkes-Barre, the Yankees AAA team, who has some pretty good hitters. And seeing him in person for the first time. I know you watched him in spring training a couple times, but just how easy the 99 is, like just effortless. So you're watching that. It's impressive, but he got hit hard. Like there was some loud contact. I think he ended up striking out 7. He threw 95 pitches, but that 95 pitches to get through 5 innings. So everything was a bit of a grind, had a rough 4th inning. So, you see the stuff, you see the potential, but, he's obviously struggling to avoid some hard contacts and big innings. So if they're hitting him in AAA, obviously you think the big leagues, that there'd be some loud contact too. So he's an option. He hasn't like made it a no-brainer. I think they have to think about it. Do they want to go with him? I think they will. I'd be surprised if he doesn't start coming out of the break in one of those first 5 games. We shall see. But if not, there's always Taijuan. It's kind of the motto of Rob Thompson. Let's go to Taijuan.
And hopefully that's a reliable option for the Phillies as we move forward here. We know Taijuan's been struggling. He had that great outing in Sacramento where he finished out the game, picked out a 3-inning save. But hopefully it is reliable. And I'm looking at Andrew Painter. By the way, let's just give it up some claps. You don't get the Phillies Talk podcast host and then you get to go scout Andrew Painter.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Up to Lehigh Valley.
That's right. Come on now. You don't get that on all these Phillies podcasts. Come on, man.
I'm up there watching the Iron Pigs.
Come on,
up in Allentown. Yeah. But yeah, no, he was impressive. Just watching him, how big he is. He's a big kid, kind of just built to be a pitcher, a power pitcher, and he does throw hard. He's got a good curveball. Like the stuff is all there, but these hitters were, they were turning it around, a little more often than I thought they would. So we'll see. Still got to obviously learn some of the finer points of attacking hitters, but I think that the time might be approaching where if he's ready to go, they're going to give him a run and see how he does. And then when Nola comes back, they could either replace him or they could go to a 6-man for a little bit. Maybe just Painter end up in the bullpen eventually. I think that's a very strong possibility, not for his career, just for this season. Once Nola comes back and they want to go to a 5-man or even to the postseason. So they have options. And of course, there's the deadline as well coming up. So the roster will be going through some changes over these next 3-4 weeks. Especially
as we get towards the trade deadline. It's gonna get crazy. And we've talked about that. We won't really harp on too many trade deadline topics right now, but I'm looking at Andrew Painter's line here. Since May 29th, he only has 1 start where he hasn't allowed more than 5 hits.
Right.
It was that June 15th start. He went 5 innings, 1 hit, 6 strikeouts, but then everything else has been 5 hits, 6 hits, 8 hits, 5 hits, 5 hits, 7 hits on July 3rd on Thursday when you were there. He hasn't gone more than 5 innings either. I know that's kind of the plan. That's what they wanted him to do. I guess I'm sitting here. He's at about 44, 51
innings. Yeah.
He's around like 54 innings.
Yeah.
So far in his career starts in Lehigh Valley. But it is a bit concerning, but I think Phillies fans need to understand and recognize that this kid's going to be here for the long haul. Knock on wood that nothing happens in the trade deadline. But when he comes up, hopefully, and sometime in July, maybe that July 22nd date, as you mentioned, let's set the expectations kind of in the middle ground, right? Let's not set sky high expectations, because if something like this happens, then all of a sudden we know how these Phillies fans are and they turn their back on him. We never know, but give the kid a break. But I'm still very, very excited to see Andrew Painter, hopefully here shortly coming up as July winds down.
Yeah.
But
sure.
We'll see.
You get that little shot of adrenaline too, pitching in a big league park, making your debut. So I think maybe he picks it up a notch when he does come up. But yeah, I think that was their plan all along. And I think they're going to kind of give him a shot here in these next couple of weeks, but we'll find out.
Which is exciting, man. And it's what we've been clamoring for. We haven't seen, that 2023 start in spring training, and then also the surgery happens. And now we've waited 2 long years for Andrew Painter to make his long awaited debut. And hopefully it's here shortly. Phil's getting ready to head out west though, San Francisco and San Diego before this All-Star break. Dude, we got some late nights ahead of us on Monday and Friday.
Ricky's back, late nights with Rick this week.
Oh boy.
Can't get any more exciting than that.
Can't beat that, man. But yeah, what are your expectations? Just this is their first West Coast trip or second?
Yeah,
I guess they went to Sacramento.
Correct. And Colorado.
Colorado
and Sacramento. So yeah, they have a couple more after this. They still have to go to LA, obviously.
And Arizona.
Yes.
And that's late September.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting.
So it's going to be a tough trip. They just played the Padres, which is the second leg of the trip. The Giants came in here, and I think they split a 4-game series with the Giants back in like May, or maybe even April. I forget when exactly that was.
Pre-Rafael Devers too.
Yes, which is the big addition to their lineup. So the Giants have fallen off the pace a little bit in the NL West. They were right up there with the Dodgers early in the year, but Dodgers have kind of opened up a little bit now. But the Giants are a good team, and I feel like the Phillies have always struggled. Not always, but these last however many 5, 6, 7 years out there, it's been tough on them out there to win. In San Francisco. So that's going to be a tough series, especially, you got Sanchez. Hopefully you win that series opener Monday, and then you go Taijuan and Luzardo. But then you have your guys lined up for San Diego. Then you can go Ranger, Zach, Sanchez again on Sunday in San Diego. So you like your chances there. I don't know. I'm happy with 3-3. I know you always want a winning road trip 4-2, but
Fine.
3-3 is fine with me. And you go into the break, hopefully still in first place.
Yep.
And, but I think it's a tough trip. I think they're two good teams out west, always tough. So Phillies need to play well. They need to hit. They need to hit more consistently, specifically with runners in scoring position than they have in this homestand that we just completed.
And it's funny. In the last pod, we brought up how they were second in Major League Baseball in runners in scoring position. Then they go
3 for 28
this weekend
against the Reds. Yeah.
Goodness. Hopefully that can turn around as we move forward.
Yeah.
Lastly, here, real quick, then Kyle Schwarber. It's his third time in the last 5 years he's an All-Star. By the way.
Yeah.
What can you say? I mean, we've talked about him so many times. We talked about re-signing him in the last podcast. Obviously, that needs to happen.
Right.
But it's just it's a testimony to how well Kyle Schwarber has played as a Philly.
Yeah.
And as he moves on, and hopefully he remains in red pinstripes going forward here.
Yeah.
Dude, let's wrap up real quick then too.
Yeah.
We missed it on the last podcast, but our good buddy John DeSangro,
Yes.
unfortunately passed away unexpectedly last week. Just a staple here, man. One of the best human beings I've got to meet here, and we didn't really run into each other too much, but dude, 25 years here at this company, and obviously with his whole ties with Temple basketball and Coach Chaney and everybody that's talked about him, and I'll let you take the floor here, but he's one of the nicest human beings that I've ever got to meet, especially in this industry. Always looking out for us, always looking out for himself, always looking out for everybody. And it's a shame that this had to happen kind of unexpectedly, but I know you wanted to say some words real quick.
Yeah. We, what you said was he's one of the most genuine, sincere guys. I've known him now for 21 years. When I started, he was editing with us in the newsroom, kind of on a part-time basis during the summer and that Temple basketball off season. But he did a lot of work in the production trucks for the Phillies broadcast. He did whatever was needed. He was an associate producer. He would do all kinds of tasks, whether they be graphics. Otherwise, he would travel. He worked on the Sixers broadcast for a long time. He helped out with flyers as well. So he really did it all. But yeah, I got to know him back in the newsroom when he was a part-time editor with us. And that's when I really got to sit down, and being a huge college basketball guy myself, I kind of found out what his role was with Temple, which was unbelievable. Crazy, if you don't know, he was legitimately John Chaney's right-hand man. He was he started as a student manager, then he was a director of basketball operations, and he just did everything for Coach Chaney. Coach Chaney, the funny story, we wanted to hire John away full-time. John would kind of divide his time, Temple basketball in the winter, and then once they get eliminated from the tournament, he would jump into Philly season part-time in the truck, do some stuff for us. So we wanted to hire him full-time, and Chaney, he wanted to leave, but Chaney, I want to say wouldn't let him, but Chaney wasn't happy, and he didn't want to upset Coach. So I just can't do it. I can't leave Coach. And it was right around the time our Mark Jackson, who's an analyst now, was leaving Temple for the NBA. And somebody said to John DeSangro, well, tell Coach that, he let Mark Jackson leave. He can let you leave. And he's like, I did. But Coach Chaney said, I can find another Mark Jackson. I can't find another John DeSangro, which tells you how important he was and what a great guy he was. So, we're going to miss him. We've really acknowledged him, when he did pass away on the air during the game broadcast, during pre and post game. We had his services earlier this past week. But just a great guy, really a beloved member of our family, of our network. We'll miss him. His best to his family and all his friends, so many people that he taught in his life and in the Temple community here at work and in his personal life. So God bless John. We'll miss you. And just a great, great man.
Well said, dude. Well said. And it is crazy. He, in this new era of NIL and general managers, if you want to call them that, in college football and college basketball, he was pretty much that for Coach Chaney back in the early 2000s for Temple. And man, we're gonna miss him like crazy. He was such just a great human being in our little bit. And it's one of those things too, man. You and I are on the pod, and obviously Ricky and Michael and Ben and Ruben and all those guys. But it's behind the scenes people that really, really touch the broadcast, touch you personally in your hearts and everything like that. And we'll miss John. And again, like you said, condolences to his family and everyone here at NBC Sports Philadelphia. We will definitely will miss his presence a lot
for sure, no doubt.
We'll end up on a smaller positive note real quick. Did you have a good 4th of July weekend?
I did.
Yes.
I did. I was here. I was off Thursday, day up in Lehigh Valley.
Scouting. So not really an off day.
And then Friday, here for the day game, Saturday and Sunday. So I was hanging out Amy Fadul was filling in for Michael on Friday and Saturday. Ben was in, our crew here. So we had a good 4th of July. Got out in time on Friday, on the actual 4th of July, to have dinner with Amy and the kids. And then we saw some fireworks. So that was great. And then everything's been good. Good 4th of July. How about yourself?
It was good, man. It was good. Yeah. Hanging on by a thread today, but it was a good weekend celebrating my buddy's 30th birthday, and
Nice.
it was a good one. A lot of good fireworks around the city too. That was it was a wild scene on Friday night after we got off work here. But yeah, so anyway, we'll wrap up.
Deal.
Good deal, man. Good deal. Happy 4th of July weekend, everybody. Hopefully everyone stayed safe and had a good time as well. The Phillies, man, 6 winners of 6 of the last 9. There's 6 more games left before this All-Star break, and a nice break for us and for them. But hopefully we'll be talking to you after a successful series out in San Francisco. That 3:45 start on Wednesday. Hopefully we'll nail one down after that, and maybe even the small debut of Bob Cooney on the podcast.
Nice.
There's a chance.
Yes,
There's a chance
that'd be great.
we'll bring Bob Cooney on board here for the pod. So look forward to that. But anything else, buddy? We're good.
No, we're good.
Right,
Good series for the Phils. Good weekend. Good finish. Zack Wheeler, unbelievable.
It didn't start great on Friday, but they ended well. And what can you say? And then, of course, it was Austin Hayes, former Philly.
Easy.
They were one batter away from history on Sunday afternoon with Zack Wheeler. But Austin Hayes obviously had to get a little revenge with all the problems that he brought us last season. Okay. On that note, Phillies head out west. We'll catch you guys after that Giants series then. So hope everyone has a good weekend, and we'll talk to you guys then.